All right, so this video is obviously for digital imaging, and it's just in regards to the abstract image assignment. Basically, what I want you to do is take a bunch of random images. Well, not random, but look for things based on composition and design and texture and that sort of stuff, and not necessarily from a subjective point of view, but like more based on that. So what we're going to do is it's the same images we did in class, but I'm just going to go ahead and open a bunch of images from my desktop here. Let's see, random photos. And I'll grab this one, and I will grab this one. Oops. Grab this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one, and that one, and I will open up those. Okay, so the thing you do is obviously just open up those images themselves. Okay. All right, so I'm just gonna go ahead and just do this. I'm just gonna do the same thing we did in class, basically, but just so that you can see it being done again. First things first, what's always good to do is just to duplicate your background so that you have the original. I'm just gonna go ahead and rename this original. Come on, there we go. Original. All right, and I'm gonna lock this one. I'm gonna turn it off, and this one will be extra crispy. No, it'll just be edited. Okay. All right, so I got my edited and original. Okay, so I'm gonna make adjustments to this. So I just want to make this background a different color because right now it's kind of a ugly blue. Oh, actually, before I even do that, what you want to do is just make sure you have this in the right orientation that you want. So you would just do image rotation. In my case, I'll just do 180 degrees. Okay, so but you might need to turn it 90, so on and so forth. The other thing you're gonna want to do is set your width, height, and whatever ratio. You want to select the, select the crop tool over here, and then go up here. It was already on by default, and do width, height, resolution, not ratio. Then on here, yeah, that's right. Why is it doing pixels? I want to do 6 inches by 9 inches by 300 ppi. Okay, so that's obviously, you can see it's not going to work. So if I just click this, it'll swap those two numbers, and now that will make it a 6 by 9 at 300 ppi, which is what I want. And then I'll just I'll make my adjustments here. So maybe I'll just crop the top a little bit, and then if I click in here, I can kind of, all right, and we'll do that. All right, and you can hit the checkbox, or you just hit enter once or twice. It kind of depends. So now I cropped it. This is kind of the image that I want. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select this outside here. I can do it a couple different ways. I could try to just do this lasso by hand, and that will select this area. I could try to do the polygonal lasso, which if you just click, double click on the last one, I'm going to select that area. And I could also try to use the magnetic lasso, which you start at one end and it'll stick to the surface. But instead of doing any of those, I'm going to do this. I'm just going to use I'm going to use a magic wand. I'm going to click in here, and it's going to select all of this area. So see how like it kind of missed some of this? It's because my tolerance is at 15, which means it's just more particular. I'm going to change it to 32, which is the default, which is probably what yours is. I'm going to Control D or Command D to clear my selection. I'm just going to click again, and 32 should be, yeah, you can see it went all the way around. Now I'm going to hold Shift, which you see my wand turns into a little plus symbol underneath it. That means everything I'm clicking on will be added to the current selection. Okay, so I'm just going to add all these little nublets here. Voila. Oops, for some reason that one didn't add. Okay, if you hold Control, it'll actually do, I'm still on it. If you hold Control, it should do the opposite. Maybe Alt? Okay, Alt. That was Control. If you do Alt or Option, it'll do the opposite. It'll take away. Okay. So now I have this selected. What I'm going to do is I just want to do an adjustment layer on it. So if I have my adjustments over here, just make sure you're on Essentials for your menu style here. And also you're probably going to want to do, I'm on motion. You can see how it changes. You're also going to want to just make sure that your workspace is, just make sure you reset Essentials. and then that should be right here. So for this, I'm just gonna do hue saturation. I'm gonna turn on colorize, and then I'm just gonna saturate it more, and we'll say that's good. Okay, yay. And I can change this at any moment. All right, so next what I'm gonna do is I kind of want to do the opposite. I want to select this and do an effect. So instead of making the mask again, which I totally could do, I'm actually just going to go ahead and use this over here. So if I click Control and click on it, it'll actually select that mask again, or that selection, I should say, that I had before in order to make this mask. Now if I hit Control Shift I or Command Shift I, that'll invert the selection, or you can go up here and go to Select Inverse, and now it'll select the opposite. Now the inside is selected. Okay, but you can see I'm still in this layer, so I gotta make sure I select this one because this is what I'm affecting. It won't do anything on there. And now I'm just gonna go and I'm gonna do like we did in class. I'm gonna go ahead and choose threshold, which is here, and I can kind of just adjust this to get kind of an interesting look. Okay, and you can see we have a neat looking whatever that is. It's sort of abstract, but you know, it's kind of an interesting composition. All right, so that's one. That's just a quick way to mask things out. Some other things you can do, I can turn these off for a second. Let's say I just wanted to get rid of this pole for some reason. What I could do is I could use my magnetic lasso. I'll click and I'll kind of drag like this. You can see it tries to stick to it as best as it can. All right, and I'll just double click at the end to grab that entire thing. So now this is what's selected, but what I want to do is select everything else because I want to mask everything else back. So I'm actually going to go ahead and do Control Shift I or Command Shift I, so everything else is selected. And then if I click this right here, it'll make a mask button. It'll mask out. So now that is gone. I'll turn these back on, and now you can see it looks like that. I'd need to put another layer underneath this. So maybe we'll just put this underneath the previous one, and then I'm just going to go ahead and use the paint bucket, and I'll just make it black, and now that's black. Okay, so if I want to mask something out, just almost like kind of cutting it out of there, you can do it that way as well. All right, so that's one image. So let's say I want to do something with this, just kind of a cool layer effect. I'm just going to go ahead and first things first, I'm going to crop it. I'm going to rotate around because I think it'll be more disorienting if it's upside down. That way you don't realize that it's a ceiling up here. So first I'm going to go to Image Rotation. I'm going to do 180 degrees. Then I'm going to go to the crop tool here, and it's 9x6 by 300. I'm just going to pull this down and pull this down. And I'm going to kind of pull this like that, and that's fine. Okay. Looks. Oh, actually, let's undo that. Control Z. It's kind of weird. I think it's locking up or something. Hang on a second. All right, it seems to have. So I don't know what happened. Like something got locked up weird. So I just did undo and it worked for some reason. I don't know what was going on. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go ahead and crop this. So I'm going to same things before. The second verse, same as the first. Kind of pull this up. Make this a little bit bigger maybe. All right, so something like that. The reason why I wanted to wait, I'm going to hit Control plus. Okay, Control minus would be zoom out. So see how it's not straight? I want to make it straight as well. So if I go up here where it says straight and I hit the little level thing, I can kind of pull this up like that and see how it straightened it. Now I hit enter. I just want to make it straight as opposed to, so I'm going to do Control minus, Control plus back in. Okay, just because I wanted to make it a little more level. It's a little off center too, but whatever, for the sake of anything, I don't really care. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to take this image. So to do that, I'm just going to hit Control A, which is select all. Again, you can go up here and you can just do select all. It'd be Command A, obviously, on a Mac. Then Control C or Command C, which is, again, you can, actually I think it's underneath Edit, would be copy. Okay, and then, so Control A to select all, Control C to copy. Okay, and then I'm going to do, in here, I'm going to do Control V. And that's going to put it right on top of it. Now, you can see it's not the right size, so I need to make this a little bit larger. So to do that, I can either hit Control T or Command T, or you can go to Edit, Transform, or Free Transform. Okay, and I'm gonna hold Shift while I do it, because see how it doesn't do scale. If I hold Shift, it'll keep it proportionate. Unless you don't care if it's proportionate, but generally speaking, you almost always want to keep things proportionate. Okay, come on, you can do it. All right, it's acting a little bit funky again. All right, All right, and then I'm just gonna hit enter to execute to say, okay, that's good. And now what I can do is on this one, I can do different layer blending modes, and they'll do all sorts of cool stuff. So like darken, multiply, color burn, which is the one I kind of liked. I think that's kind of neat looking. But there's all sorts of them, and you can kind of play around with it. Okay. Let's say I want to do something where I just want to apply this, but only to specific areas. Let's say hang on, sorry, people keep calling me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just crop this here, or I'm going to just take this part here. So I'm going to use this rectangular marquee tool. Actually, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to, in order to select this, I'm going to do it by color range. So I'm going to go select color range, and then I can select the black or white. I'm going to go ahead and just do black. And then this will adjust how much it tries to grab versus how little it does. So I'm going to go pretty far because this is pretty deep black, so I can actually get rid of more this way. And I'll hit OK. And basically what it does is selects everything based on the color black. So I'm just going to do Control C or Command C. That's all I need. And then I'm going to go back to, we'll say this one, and I'm going to put it above this layer, Control V. Okay. I'm going to turn this one off so I can see it. And now I'm going to use the marquee just to click and drag over it. See, I'm on layer 2 here. And delete. Click and drag. Delete. Click and drag. Delete. And lastly, click and drag and delete. Okay. Oops, there's a little more there too. Okay. So make sure you get, I'm making sure I got all the other stuff out. All right. Now, basically what this is going to do, and I'm just going to go ahead and put up here, I'm going to hit Control T for the free transform. And then if you actually hold, I think it's Control, yeah, if you hold Control or Command and click on these, you can actually warp them. So you can see I can kind of, so I'm going to kind of try and get this to fit over top of the box part. Okay, come on. Computer's having major issues. Okay, come on. Alright, try to imagine that I did it and that's even worse. Okay, let's rotate this back. Imagine that I was really good at it and I matched it up perfectly, but for whatever reason the computer's being kind of crummy. So basically what it's going to do is that this is almost going to act like a strainer. So wherever the black is, or there is image as opposed to when there is no image. Okay, so if I turn this off, you can see this is the only place the image exists. I'm going to make a clipping mask, and this is only going to show up wherever the black is. Okay, so I'm going to click back on this guy. I'm going to turn this one on too. I'm going to right click or control click. If your right click doesn't work on the Mac, create clipping mask. And now that's only going to show up where that black is, which is kind of cool. And you can, you can do things where like I can move this, and you can see I can move that image underneath, and it's basically like a little window that you made. Or I can try to move this image. I'll see, it's just going to keep moving the other one. Yeah, it's going to keep cutting through. But well, I can probably do it with arrows. I can move the image underneath, or the actual thing that's doing the clipping, and that will do that as well, which is pretty cool. Okay, so that's how you would create a clipping mask. And then you can kind of mix all these things together to try and make something super duper cool. Let's see, is there anything else I wanted to cover? Alright, so I think that's going to be good enough for now. Try to utilize those various things and come up with something cool. Alright.